Hey, welcome to the next episode of the podcast. Glad you joined us. Make sure to subscribe and also leave comments. Each week we'll put up new shows. If you're a new subscriber, check out all the past episodes as well to catch up. But we look forward to continue talking and hope you enjoy what we're hearing at this point. So last night was UFC 257, remember correctly. You had Conor McGregor going last night. So apparently there were some good matches actually before that.
There was, the main card was
really good.
The main card was actually pretty exciting.
Yeah, but the McGregor one was interesting because he was facing, and I can't say his name correctly, so I always forget how to say his name.
Dustin Poirier.
Poirier, thank you. Yeah, I figured I'd screw that up. But anyway, this was the second time they fought, right? They fought years ago. McGregor beat him then. Dude, I don't know. McGregor just decided he wasn't going to block any leg shots at all. Like, he didn't even try to defend that shit.
Well, the first time they met, Dustin didn't actually throw any leg kicks, really. Right.
Yeah, but if you're understanding your opponent's strength, right? Wouldn't you try?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think Dustin learned that because the fight he had with Justin Gaethje, and Justin Gaethje has massive leg kicks, and he has a specific technique of how he does that. And the way Dustin was doing that leg kicks and where he was attacking looked similar to that. And I think what he caught Conor by surprise is with that takedown too, which Conor did not expect. Right? I think Conor was expecting them to just stand up and throw, which I will give it right now. The first round, I would have gave it to Conor because
I totally agree.
He landed more strikes. Dustin did get a takedown. However, he didn't get him to really stay down there too long. Conor got up, wasn't really that active. But were you shocked to see how it ended?
I was, but then that's my point though about the leg, right? Because he wasn't defending that, and so he just kept smacking that.
At some point, he had to. At some point,
it was too late though. It was because he was feeling at that point.
Yeah,
he was dead legged. So the minute all he did was one shot got him off balance and his leg buckled. That was it. He was down and he just pounded on his ass. I mean, it was a good tactic. I think McGregor just fucking blew it. I mean, he didn't account for, again, he didn't go unprepared. He didn't take into account the legs and try to make sure he could block for that. And to me, that was the most telling story of this, is that had he even put half effort into that, it would have gone longer. It doesn't mean he would have necessarily won, but at least it would have not gone just 2 rounds, not even, more like a round and a minute along those lines. He just came in and just got him down and pummeled his, and McGregor was knocked out at that point. And so
first time ever for Conor being knocked out like that, and so just to see that, I was very shocked. But I'm happy for Dustin Poirier. I mean, Conor McGregor is such an exciting fighter to watch, but to see Dustin pull off that way, I'm sure they're going to try and do the three-peat, a 3 series for them, right, to end the series.
The trilogy.
The trilogy for them. Yeah, so that was actually a very exciting fight. Very impressed with Dustin Poirier, but now to see what goes on after that, like Dustin said at the end of the interview that he thought that should be the championship fight, and that he should be the middleweight champion or lightweight champion.
I agree, because what's his name is retired.
Well, he's retired, but he hasn't vacated his belt yet.
Doesn't matter if he's retired. Okay, agreed. It's just like boxing, right?
Yeah.
You could, if you didn't box within a year's time for defense of the title, they would strip you of it. So the question is, how long has it been since he last fought? It was about 6 months, maybe.
Yeah. So he still has some time. Yeah.
Agreed. So I guess my point would be, in 6 months, if he doesn't fight again, they should strip him of it, and then it should go to. Then they should have a rank 1 versus 2. Yeah. And then let them get the title from
which would be Dustin Poirier against Justin Gaethje again. It'll be the second time they'll fight, and Dustin won that first fight.
Right. Although, dude, Chandler looked good the fight before that.
Yeah.
This little guy, okay, because he was small compared to Hooker, who was the taller guy there.
6'1", yeah.
Dude, he just was like, got him just cold cut, and then got him just pounded on his ass. I mean, I like him.
But Michael Chandler, though, if you ever saw him back at Bellator, he was, that's why he was a champion. He was just savage. His wrestling is so good, you know, and he used that. But his striking is like he's very fast and very powerful in his striking. He just knows how to close that gap. And I was actually not. I was in the fence of this because that was a very interesting fight. You know how he's going to turn out. I didn't know how well Michael actually closed that gap.
Right.
But he did a good job and brutal left hook, knocked him down and just finished it in the ground and pound.
I will say the one match I liked more the undercards of the prelim fights.
Yeah,
was the Tavares versus Carlos Jr.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The reason why I really like that one because Carlos Jr. kept trying to take him down. And Tavares was just perfect. He maintained upright every time, never gave him the chance. It was just like that's like if you want to watch the perfect execution of handling takedowns,
he did a great job.
He did it all in that match. That was fantastic. I mean, not once did he ever really get taken down. Every time he did, or at least he get backed up to the gate, he'd find a way to pull him up and out.
Yeah.
He just
and his striking was so good. His striking was like he was landing his striking. He was winning the striking war, and I was really impressed with his takedown defense. He really worked on that, so he looked polished. It was a very good undercard. That one for sure. That fight was like wow, really really good card too.
Yeah. And then
I also like the Joanna and Jessica Evil Eye fight.
Oh yeah, the Calderwood, right?
Yeah, that was a good fight too. That was just an all out strike fest. They were going at it
at the minute, right? At the minute it started, he's swinging, and I'm like, see, women don't fuck around, dude. They just want to straight and beat the shit out of each other and get it done. They're not there to dance around and hug each other. I mean, there's grappling, but the point is that and Calderwood just was. It's funny. They are the same height. They're supposed to be the same height, but you get the sense that she was like 2 inches taller than her. It seemed like sometimes.
It's just her stance, the way she.
It's her stance.
It's how her stance is. They're two different striking styles. So, but that was a fun fight to watch. See them go at it. So Joanna really like her striking was a little bit right above Jessica. So it was a really good card. So. Quite impressed with that. Quite impressed with the UFC last night. And shocked to see. I'm sure there's a lot of people now went for stars for the Michael Chandler fight to see because he was coming from Bellator. Everyone was wondering, like, they're speculating what's he's going to be because how is he going to perform here in the UFC? And he shined tonight. And then Dustin Poirier, pulling the upset, beating Conor McGregor in a knockout fashion, in round 2. So. Very convincingly beating Conor McGregor.
Dude, I just love how almost every fighter who won had to then shout out to Dana White, making comments, one thing or another. One's like, make sure you follow me. I can't remember which match that was. Like, sure you follow me, Dana, now. Are you going to follow me now? It's like, okay. Another one's talking about, this is why I need to get paid the money. I was yelling about money at Dana White. It's just funny. And Boy, I think was also yelling probably like, this should have been the title match to him or something along those lines. And Dana White was just like, dude, god damn it, you guys are a bunch of bitches out there. Just be happy you're even in the card. Now you're here trying to use this time to like make me look bad. You think that's going to work well? But that was funny just to see those happen. But for McGregor, it'll be interesting. I mean, I thought he was supposed to be better prepared, and this is probably the worst outing he's had. No, I think he was.
He also seemed really laid back. Like he didn't have his normal. I don't want to say swagger, but he just seemed almost subdued at times. Like
it's like Rocky 3. He doesn't have the eye of the tiger, right? Because he accomplished everything.
It was weird because if we look back, this fight was supposed to be some kind of an exhibition fight. They were supposed to be
an exhibition.
It was technically supposed to be something like that because they were doing it for a charity. And overall, that's what the results was going to be for a charity, right? But then, so they, Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor agreed prior to all this happening. They agreed to fight somewhere else outside of the UFC just for a charity event, right? Just to end the year. But I don't think it was within their contract. So that's why they had to make it into a UFC fight event. And so, and to get back to Len's point, and you guys, maybe the eye of the tiger, but it did kind of seem like Conor was more like, it is what it is, this fight. I'm not too invested as to, whatever to fight as much. I just feel like, it's just an exhibition. It's more like a practice kind of thing.
Well, I mean, he made the point earlier that he's hit everything, right? Like he's achieved everything.
Yeah.
He's hit his dreams. He's made the money. He's done all that. And so maybe that's a problem, right? He's become relaxed. This comes back to the whole Rocky eye of the tiger thing. Like you've just become comfortable.
Yeah.
And you just don't like the only thing left for him to worry about is his legacy, right? Like, does he want to keep
That's
coming
why
in
I don't know
losing?
if I buy that.
Well, I'm saying that's what he should be worried about. I'm not saying he is,
Yeah.
but I think that's where legacy comes in. Like, do you want to be known as the greatest winner of all time, like, and win these titles? Then that would motivate him more because he's already won titles. He's made money. Hell, he's made a lot of more money in boxing than he did in the UFC as far as just one time only.
Yeah.
So, who knows? My son and I were kidding around. It's like maybe he goes back to boxing now.
Well, I mean, he has his own clothing line. He has his perfect proper 12 whiskey line, right? So he's starting his
horrible commercials when he talks, by the way.
Yeah. But hey, he is the face of Ireland, right? So he's got his own business. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is. But I mean, tarnishing his legacy, I don't see too much. I mean, you have to think he was the first UFC fighter ever to hold 2 belts simultaneously. First ever to do that, right? So he was one of the highest paid pay-per-views. I think it's between him and George St. Pierre. So yeah. So I mean, I would have loved to see him and GSP fight too. That would have been interesting.
That would have been. But I mean, I how much does that attain a legacy though? I mean, you're
right though.
And I mean, to your points, I don't disagree with your points. It's just you don't get to reach the level that he got to. Any fighter, any professional athlete, and especially him. He's not exactly like humble. I mean, he's total opposite of that. I mean, he can match anybody when it comes to shit talking and to flamboyance and how he dresses and things he says. He almost seems like almost like WWE at times rather than UFC. And that's why it's like I just have to wonder because it wasn't him, and it just. Yeah, maybe it's now just for the money, but I mean, him coming back. I mean, these things start to sustain a legacy and have people have those, questions about how good a fighter was. It's like, well, yeah, as soon as he got his, he got paid after, the Merriweather fight and everything. Did he get lazy? Did he not care anymore?
Well, so he did perform really well. His last fight with Donald Cerrone, he finished that fight under a minute. So everyone was like surprised, like wow. And Donald Cerrone was not an easy fight. That guy's is a beast in himself. So everyone thought this was going to be happening. It's just that unfortunately, for Conor, Dustin was on the rise, right? After losing to Khabib. Dustin has been on a rampage as well, and he's learned a lot from loss to Khabib. He learned a lot from other fighters from then. So he's made the adjustments since then, right? And he's a lot smarter and more patient fighter than he was before. And he even admitted, right, he was not the same. He was emotional when he first fought Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor at that time was on the rise. This was back in 2014, and Conor McGregor was just knocking people out, and he knocked out Dustin Poirier within 40 seconds of the first round, something like that, right? Convincingly. So things change, right? And Dustin owes that to Conor because he became a better fighter because of that as well. That led him to this path. So I think Conor's going to regroup. I think he's going to come around and try maybe fix something. I know there's also been talks about him and possibly Manny Pacquiao doing a boxing match, but there's also that's YouTube sensations or whatever trying to fight him as well. So I don't know. It's interesting to see where they're going to go. So he's a big draw. He's a big draw. He's a very big draw.
That's why the UFC needs to keep him in there. Because again, UFC, there's the diehards who love to compete and would watch UFC all the time. But to hit mainstream to get more people to watch, that's where Conor McGregor helped kind of pick that up more because of his attitude. People love show, right? They want to see the show. That's why Ronda Rousey also helped as well.
She did.
She was also yet another big name. I mean, you don't hear of any big names from the female that get pushed as much as she did. Like nobody. No. Nobody in the female division at all.
So, well, when it first came out, when the females was really making a name, it was Gina Carano, right? She was the face of women MMA, and then, but she didn't grab full mainstream until Ronda Rousey came in the scene.
It helped that she was an American gladiator.
It did help.
That helped the crossover a little bit because then he's getting part of a different audience that hadn't even thought about her, and then finding out she was in the UFC
absolutely.
as well.
Yeah,
but
you're right. But something about Conor McGregor reminds me of Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, exactly.
It's
kind of like that, right? He's kind of like that. But when all the glitz and glamour is done, it's like he's just this guy who talks
and
about
his signature walk, where he does the thing with his arms flapping behind him.
Which he didn't do at all last night.
Yeah, totally not. Yeah,
he didn't do
That's
that
what I
at all
mean.
last night. Yeah,
but he
Like
only.
you said, it was like an exhibition.
I know he does it when he wins.
I think he only does that when he's the champion. He walks like that when he was the champion. When he wasn't the champion, he didn't walk like that at all. So
Right.
he's been stripped from all his titles, right? He's no longer any of those champs anymore. So it makes sense.
Yeah, but he did make mention last night that he's going to. They asked him, "Are you going to keep going and stop?" He's like, "No, I'm going to keep going. What else do I got?" You know, and so you could take that in two ways. It's like, no, he's feeling like he needs to. He likes to keep busy, so that's one thing to keep him busy. Now, if boxing came along, you do that instead, is how I read it. As long as you can find something for him, he'll do it. If he can't, then UFC makes sense for him, because then at least it gives him something to focus on and keeps training and things like that. So that to me doesn't say he's necessarily passionate about coming back to win a title in the UFC. It's more like it just gives him something to do.
What else can I do?
Yeah, like I got nothing else right now. Sure, he's doing commercials and business stuff, but he didn't care about that. That's not what he worked. His whole life was built off of. His whole life was built off of fighting, and doing that. And that's what got him where he is. So I think he's still young enough where that's where his mindset is. I need to find something that keeps me going along those lines, because the business probably bores him. Yeah,
possibly. I mean, 32 years old, right? He's probably going to fight till about maybe close to 40. Then, with his business ventures, that's, slowly building up, just stick to that, promote that. So it makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe King of Ireland.
He'll be King of Ireland. Is that what you said? There you go. Why not?
Yeah.
Sure.
In
this scenario, why not? Good stuff. So I'm excited. The UFC was good. It was a great matches last night, so that was good to watch.